What's up, y'all? Nice. All right. Well, that was one beat on the Roland P6, but it's not going to be the star of today's show because I plan on using the black box a little bit more. But just wanted to play something on there just to get the vibe started. Do a nice little vibe check there. Hope everyone's doing okay. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into it here. Unmute these. Set this up here. Okay, cool. But yeah, so for today's session, I have a specific plan in mind, which is continuing some experiments with the 1010 black box, trying to figure out if I'm into this thing or if I want to get rid of it. It's been pretty fun, actually, kind of retouching bases with it. But today's going to be the make or break test, because I'm going to try sequencing just on this thing instead of like before I was using like the Lo-Fi 12XT on the last session to trigger MIDI notes and stuff. The sequencer on this thing is a little tricky. It's very touchscreen heavy, but not in a good way, really. Like, you know, on Koala Sampler, there's like a lot of options for like selecting notes and doing all kinds of stuff. On this thing, it's a little clunky though. So we're gonna get into that. But, oh, whoops, I think I might have clipped there. But yeah, so let me just set up the audio configuration here, because there is one other thing that I'll be doing, which is this like kind of resample chain, effect chain thing, which is pretty sick. And it's possible because the black box has multiple outputs. So let me tilt this boy up so you can see. So you can see on the back panel here, we've got actually 3 line outs. There's line out 1, line out 2, line out 3, and these are stereo. So it's basically 6 channels. And then there's the phones out. And the phones out just outputs everything. It just sums it all and just does it on one channel. So it's very convenient for that. But yeah, basically my plan is to use one of these outs to go into the P6 and then have the P6 go back into the black box. And then I can control whether the P6 hears the sound by adjusting what out the samples are coming out of. Because each pad that you have can come out of one of these 3 channels. And then if you're using the phones, you just hear it all the time. And then we'll do some USB MIDI too. So we're getting into all kinds of stuff here. I hope you're ready to learn about the black box. But yeah, let's start unplugging cables and switch it up here. And yeah, I don't want the phones out here. So yeah, the plan with this one is I'm gonna actually have audio channel 1 on the black box be kind of like the main out, quote unquote. So we've got channel 1 out, I'm going to plug it into my audio interface here. And let's do a little test and make sure I can hear it. Songs to do. And then this is the sample we're working with. All right, yeah. So 80 should be fine there. And that's working, so that's good. Good first sign. And then the next thing I want to do is I've got this weird dongle. Basically, this is a ground loop isolator, because I'm going to plug USB into this thing, and then it's going to make this horrible USB noise. So I got to have this thing on to manage the damage here. So yeah, then I've got main out of P6. We're going to plug this into line in of the black box. All right, so now I should be able to hear this stuff through the line in. I can't hear it because I'm not monitoring the recording. And it's on mono too. All right, so Recmon is gonna go on. All right, so we can hear samples from the P6. So that's like step one, sort of. I'm gonna turn Recmon back off though, so I don't like accidentally do like a feedback loop or something. Okay, so now I need to do line in of this as one of the other outs. So we got 3 outs, so I'm going to use out number 3, I guess, to do audio to the P6. Just need my little cable here. Nice, all right. And yeah, just 3.5 mil is all we need. And then this will be out number 3, which I believe is this one. So we got a nice buffer there. Okay, what am I forgetting? Oh yeah, and then the last thing is I want to connect them via USB. I know that there's a lot of cables involved here. So this is just a USB cable. It's got A on one side, and then it's got Type C on the other. And what's cool about the black box is that it has a USB-A port on back of it. You can see that. And what you can do with that is you can send USB MIDI as long as you can power the device. There are some limitations with like how much power it can actually provide, but it should be fine, especially because this thing has a battery. I don't think it's gonna be an issue. So I'm gonna plug this in. Oh man, this thing's a little tight. Let me unvelcro here. Man, this is getting messy. Okie dokie. So now we've got the USB connected from P6 to BlackBox. And that means I should be able to push buttons here and it'll send notes so we can test it out. So that's pretty promising. And the default configuration with it is that it's using these big pads, the P6s, to send MIDI notes on channel. Well, you can change it. You go shift menu, and then this is going to be the S channel. So it's sending it on channel 11 right now. But the way the the 1010 black box works is it has like this global in, where basically it'll accept MIDI notes from any channel, and then you can specify certain channels to control certain pads. So right now it's seeing the notes from channel 11 and it's accepting them as part of like the global in or whatever. Yo, Still Life. Hey, what's up, man? How's it hanging? Okay, so that's why that's working. Stop triggering that. Okay. So yeah, and that was just plugging in a USB cable. Nothing fancier than that. I mean, I could definitely have done MIDI too with the TRS cable, because this thing has MIDI 3.5 millimeter, which I could plug into here. But why do that when you could just go USB? It's even easier. All right, so we've got USB in, and then I feel like that's everything. I don't think I need to plug anything else in, which is kind of a mess already. All right, so first thing I want to do is test this resampling workflow. So basically the plan here is I want to be able to play the sample out into the P6 and then use the P6 to add effects, kind of like what you do with like SP404 Mark II or something. And then the effects that I add on here, I want to resample back into the black box so that I've got it nice and, you know, dusty, lo-fi, whatever I want to add here. The only thing though is I don't want to record the sample onto this, but the way the effect loop is working is I don't even have to do that. I don't have to record it. You can just hear it live. So an example, I'm going to take this sample here, the main melodic sample, and I go to the config page, and then from here, oh whoops, keep it on trigger. I need to change this to, okay, output. So right now it's going out on channel 1, which is basically what we're hearing. That's this yellow cable. It's going to the audio interface. So I'm going to change this to 3. And so now instead of going out to the audio interface, this sample is going out to the P6. So when I play it, we should be able to hear it through the P6. We should be able to hear it through the P6, but I can't. And the reason why is because I have rec monitoring turned off. So I got to go to a blank pad here. You can see the levels. So I need to go to rec mon and turn it on. So now we're listening to the P6. And there's no like doubling of the audio or feedback or anything like that. So now I could add effects like filter. Or maybe cassette simulator or something. Yeah, what am I doing here? MFX. Yeah, I don't really know what these controls do. Let's try cassette simulator. All right, so let's say I like the sound of that. So I can re-record it without even needing to, because yeah, normally you'd like record it onto a pad and then send it back, and it's going to take a bunch of time. But we can do this very quickly by going to the record here, and then I can arm it. And so it's recording right now, and then now all I need to do is press this pad. Kind of a long sample. Okay, so now I can press stop, and we can take a look at the waveform, and it captured everything. And this is the recording that has the effects baked into it. So it's got a little bit of lead in there. Cool. So yeah, that's the effects from this. That was all just kind of like added in one take instead of needing to, yeah, again, re-record and do all that stuff. And then just for reference here, let me play the original so you can hear the difference. So this is the original. and then the resampled version. So it's a lot grittier, it's more lo-fi. And yeah, this will help too when it comes to like resampling drums if I want to make them a little more punchy and stuff like that. So yeah, it worked out pretty well for the main melodic sample. So we'll paste that in here. Then I can just get rid of this one. Don't need it anymore. Cool. And then we've got this configured to where I can resample again if I need to. So let's get chopping using the good old black box here. So I just got to make sure I'm trimming off some of this excess stuff here. And then file trim. Yes. All right, cool. So now I don't have that lead in or any of the excess stuff on the end. So now I just got to add some slice markers, which hopefully won't take too long. Yo, dude, Strill Life says, you're inspiring me to go sample searching on Loop Cloud. Yeah, man. It sounds dope. I've never heard of Loop Cloud. Is that kind of like they like sell loops and sample packs on there and stuff? Sounds sick. But yeah, let me get these chops in here. So yeah, to slice on this device, you have to change the mode to slicer mode. And then from here, press these 3 dots. And now every time I press the split button, boom, it's going to add slice markers in, which we can then control with MIDI, or you can just play them on here. All right, so let's take a listen. Wow, lazy chopped the hell out of it. Probably didn't do all those perfectly, but we can take a listen and see. So yeah, you can use this like top left knob to select the slice, and then from here you can just press the play button to play them. Yeah, this one sounds a little weird. Maybe I'll pull it back. So yeah, join to delete the slice marker, split to set a new one. Oh man, probably gotta fix a lot of these. Join. Split. Right here. Okay, yeah, so they sound pretty all right. So I'm gonna keep that, but yeah, there are some like kind of pops and clicks and stuff, so you can always just add some attack to mitigate that. So just gonna crank up the attack here a little bit. Yeah, maybe 10% or so. And then, yeah, dude, hit that. Oh, I thought there was a line button or something. Yeah, hit whatever button you like. It's all the same to me. Okay, but yeah, let me check this out here. Oh yeah, and then the other thing that I wanted to note is now that we've got the USB connection set up, we can play MIDI notes through MIDI, of course. So what I need to do here is change the config setting, and I need to specify a MIDI channel that it's going to listen to. And so I'm going to change it to channel 9. And the reason why is because I have the granular channel on the P6 set to channel 9. So that means it's going to be sending notes, like chromatic keyboard notes essentially, to channel 9. So then I go granular, keyboard. It's just that easy, folks. And so yeah, basically, well, these notes are like below, I don't know what it starts at exactly. Let me see if I can find the root note. So it starts at -2. This is like the first slice. And here I'll show you. So if I'm looking at the waveform, yeah, and that's something good about using MIDI devices with this, because if you don't have a MIDI controller to like kind of play back chops and stuff, you kind of have to use this sort of wonky like grid thing, which is, these are pretty small buttons. So this would be another way you could play it if you weren't using a MIDI controller. But yeah, this is really not optimal. You could also use the keyboard too, I guess. These buttons are a little bit bigger. But yeah, pairing it with the MIDI controller I think is optimal because yeah, you get a little bit more of space, I guess. I mean, even these buttons are kind of small, but you get the idea. Okay, so we've got that. Oh yeah, I forgot to look at this comment Still Life Left. So yeah, it's a huge depository. Maybe like splice. Oh, nice. Dude, I'm gonna check it out. Loop Cloud sounds sick. I'm always looking for new samples. So I'm gonna see what's up there. All right, so now I can probably just get like a basic sequence in and then I'll start like adding drums and stuff after that. So let's go ahead and select a sequence. So yeah, on the BlackBox, you get to the sequencing page by pressing the sequence button. And then you'll notice that there's this sequence that has like a white like square around it. That means it's active. So I don't want that one active. Or maybe I do actually. I'll go ahead and use it. But yeah, you could have several active, but I only want one active for now because that's what I'm going to record notes into. So yeah, we've got this one active, and then you press info. You get to some of the extra settings for the sequence. Press info again. And then here, I want to make the step count 32. So it's 2 bars instead of 1 bar. Oh man, this thing is so annoying. The way it like kind of flashes. It's like, it's not doing that in real life. It's just my camera is like picking up the lighting in a weird way. Okay, so we've got that. And then I also need to change, I guess it doesn't really matter if it's quantized or not. I'll turn quantize, I'll keep quantize on, but I'm gonna turn off later. But this is how you would turn quantize mode off, it's called step mode. And this, when it's on, it locks the notes to the grid. And when it's off, it is not quantized, basically. I'll keep it on for now, but I will change it later. Okay, and then I think we are all good here. So I don't have a lot of practice doing this, recording the sequences in with an external controller. So let's see if I can actually do this. Oh yeah, I gotta change the tempo too. I don't know what tempo this is gonna be, but I'll just put it at like 88 for now. And yeah, the tempo you can change from the song screen. All right, sequence, info. Maybe something like that. Okay, so record play. Oh yeah, let me do the lead in too. Tools, rec, lead in on. All right, so I should get like a metronome prior to it and then I can punch these in. So you can see I kind of messed some of those up. Now there is a certain way to edit the notes on here that's convenient. If you're using the touchscreen, it can be kind of a pain, but you can turn these knobs and you can see how there's like a purple note and the other ones are blue. The purple one is like the active one, the active note. So I can select one and then you can turn different knobs to like kind of move stuff around. So you can see I'm moving it along the grid and I can snap it all the way to the left because I recorded these notes a little bit late. So I can just get them on the quantized steps here, right? And everything else on the grid. So it should sound semi-okay. And maybe I can mess with the pitch a little bit. really like brings out the artifacts. I could put like a filter on it. Oh, I see, I see. Yeah, nice and crunchy. But yo, Emphiz, what's up, man? Nice to see you. But yeah, I got this thing lo-fi because I ran it through, basically I have this like FX chain where it goes out from the black box into the modded P6, which has the lo-fi knob and other added elements. And then yeah, resampled, brought it back in. So it sounded crunchy, that's for sure. But yeah, Still Life is saying Loop Cloud is kind of like a cheat code. You can load up to 8 samples into a session. All the loops will sync to the BPM of the first track, and you can export like that or at the native BPM or both. Dude, I'm definitely going to take a look. That sounds sick because yeah, I'm always looking for new sounds, and you know, you can get them from all kinds of places. You don't just have to sample records or, you know, be super looking for samples in secret places. Sometimes you can just check out some of these cool like repositories and stuff like Loop Cloud. Definitely not above that. All right, so yeah, we've got this here. It's like super lo-fi, but we'll take it. All right, let's get some drums in here. All right, so we've got a drum that I'm interested in here. Sounds pretty nice, but I want to run it through the effect chain, just like I did with the melodic sample. So what I'm going to do is go config, so info, config. I'm going to send it to out 3, which is going into the P6. And then from here, let me turn this off. I should be able to play it, or let me turn Recmon on as well. I should just leave this thing on, but I don't. All right, so now I'm pressing the pad, and what you're hearing is actually the P6 output. It's a little quiet, but yeah, let me put the isolator on and see if I can kind of shape the sound a little bit. So MFX, isolator. And the cool thing is we can hear it in context too. So if I press play, this will still be coming out the first channel, out 1, and then this will be coming out through the P6 rec monitor in. All right, so that sounds pretty chill. Last thing I want to do is set up a MIDI channel for this one. Oh, shoot. Actually, I think I should be able to just press this button and it'll play it. I can't tell if it's like also playing a sample that's saved here. Maybe I should mute it. Yeah, it's playing like 2 snares at once. Okay, I've got a workaround for this. Oh, but Space Yuzu writes in and says, this is cool. Just came across this in my feed. Dude, heck yeah. Yeah, thanks for stopping by, man. Oh yeah, this P6 mod's pretty sick. Yeah, it's like a lo-fi mod. Basically, it this controls like the sample rate, I guess. It can make it sound super lo-fi. And then it also has a 12-bit like digital audio converter in it too. So it's like super duper lo-fi, basically. Okay, so yeah, I gotta do some stuff here. What I'm gonna do is, I know it's a little complicated. I'm gonna change the MIDI in channel of this thing to none. So we're no longer using the keyboard to control the sample chops. Then I'm gonna make this the MIDI in, and there's probably an easier way to do this, but I'm just gonna do this way. Okay, so now the keyboard is controlling the snare drum. Nice. Oh wait, let me do granular. Okay, cool, because yeah, it was doubling it up. All right, so you can see now I'm playing the snare. Oh, yo, maybe I can do poly mode and play like 2 at once. Dude, that would be crazy. It's not really that great. Okay, so back to mono. And the whole purpose of doing this was so that I can play the recording and just play the snare immediately instead of needing to create it in the sequence, essentially. All right, so let's go ahead and record this. So I'll just do, oh yeah, I gotta turn this off too. All right, so record play. And then we've got the snare here. There's a way to do threshold recording too, so you don't have to like do this kind of jankery. But I'll probably turn that on the next one. But yeah, so I'm just gonna bring this in so we don't got this space at the beginning. Probably bring the ending down too. All right, not bad. So then I can do file, trim. And then let's hear the difference. So we've got this one, the original, and then we've got the resampled version. So you get that nice lo-fi effect, which again, depending on what you're resampling into, you can have it do different things, but yeah, I guess the goal today is to just make it super lo-fi. All right, so we don't really need this snare anymore, so I'm just gonna get rid of it. Which you can do by turning this knob, pressing clear. And I'll just cut and paste this thing so it's in the corner. All right, and then yeah, I can record a sequence in, same as before. Gonna make it 32 steps, and then I will turn quantize off for this one. So step mode off. So now I can get the snare like kind of off the grid, essentially. Oh yeah, and then I also have to change this thing to be controlled by channel, channel 9. Nice. And so now when I press record and play, I can record these sequences in, into this one. So this is the one, yeah. It does not appear to be recording. What's up with that? Let me double check this. Definitely playing it. I have it selected on the sequence. Oh, I had to select the right pad. Oh man. This is, it gets complicated quickly. But yeah, Space Yuzu writes in and says, that's sick. Did you mod that yourself? I've been kind of interested in picking up a P6. Yeah, no, so I did not mod this myself. I bought it this way. It was modded by a person on Etsy whose name is Digdug DIY, or that's the name of their shop, Digdug DIY. And yeah, they do a lot of cool, like kind of audio Some of it's modded stuff, but others is just like weird kind of like boxes and sampler type instruments and stuff. It kind of looks like it's in like guitar pedal type cases and whatnot. So yeah, Dig Dug DIY does pretty cool stuff. So I definitely check out their page if you're interested in seeing devices like this that are modded. But even without the mod, like the P6 is pretty dope, man. You can get some cool like lo-fi sounds and stuff by adjusting like the sampling rate when you're recording. So yeah, you don't have to go all out and have a super wacky modded device to get some mileage out of it, I would say. All right, so yeah, let me go ahead and record this snare in now that I figured out what was going on. I'm gonna turn this thing up too. All right, let's get a kick in next. Bro, I got some weird stuff going on with my samples. They all have this like loop mode set. It's so freaking annoying. That's a fat kick though. Look at that. I don't even know what's going on with this waveform. Can someone explain to me what this part of it is? I know this is the the kick part, but like what the heck is all that? Oh yeah, I gotta turn release off as well. There we go. Sounded nice and fat. Whoa, chat's blowing up. Let me take a look here. Ruffian Kick says, yo, I see the BlackBox getting some love. My cousin had one of these when they first came out. Yeah, man, I've had this thing for a while. I used to use it quite a bit, and then I kind of dropped off it when I got the Dirty Wave M8. But I'm coming back to it and kind of seeing what's what. And it's a pretty sick device, to be honest with you. It's got a very nice footprint, super duper small. And then, yeah, it's got a lot of other sampling capabilities and stuff, so pretty sick device overall. And then Space Yuzu saying, oh cool, I've heard that name before. I'll definitely check it out. Dude, heck yeah. And then you say, I use an MPC, but I like the idea of having a more portable sampler. You got the S1. Yeah, man, these things are tight. This is a super small sampler, but it's got a lot under the hood. And if you already have the S1, you're probably familiar with the Roland sort of challenges you can face when it comes to like the menus and stuff. It's really not that bad, to be honest with you, but is something to consider is that the workflow can be a little tricky if you're not like, you know, comfortable navigating all these Roland submenus basically. Dude, and then Pamela, Cyrone, probably said that wrong. Corone, greetings from La Pampa, Argentina. Dude, hell yeah. That's what's up, man. Glad to have Argentina in the house. Okay, so I got the kick here. Sounded nice and beefy. Let's go ahead and do the old switcheroo here. Instead of going out 1 to the audio interface, we're going to send it out 3, which is going to put it in the P6. Nice and lo-fi, right? And then from here, MFX, we're going to hit it with the isolator again, but we're going to crank up that low end. And then, yeah, I'll have to hit it with the envelope too, because it's got some stuff going on at the end there. But yeah, not too bad. So let's go ahead and take a look. Ah, bro, I got to do this MIDI thing again. Okie dokie. So channel 9 off. And then set this one to channel 9 instead. God, there's probably a simpler way to do this. I need to just like think about it. Okay. And then now I can press the buttons on the P6 and I'm controlling the black box. And we're hearing that kick drum. Sounds nice and beefy. We can turn the green knob to make it even more lo-fi. Gives it like a nice SP1200 ring. You know what I'm saying? All right, so we'll get down on that. Yeah, and then I need to turn the sequence off. This is something that by default, when you press record and play to just record a sample, it's gonna play the sequence. So I need to keep coming back here and like basically muting or disabling the sample chops and the snare. So yeah, info, record, play, it's recording. Oh wait, you know what? Let me try doing something here. I was talking about this earlier. Let's do threshold recording so I don't have to trim the beginning, which is pretty annoying to do. So yeah, I have threshold recording off. I don't know why. So I turn it on, and now it's basically just waiting for the signal. So record, play. Boom. And then look at that. It's already at the beginning. All right, so that's the kick drum. And then yeah, just to give you a demonstration here, let's do a little before and after. So I'm going to turn this back to channel 1, or out 1, I mean. So this is the original kick. And then this is the kick I resampled. Nice and lo-fi. So yeah, we're going to get rid of this one. And then I will cut and paste this. And then same deal, change the MIDI channel to 9 so I can control it here. Probably mess around with the envelope and pitch as well. Or maybe the filter. Dude, so what I noticed on this thing, I learned this the other day, is that the filter, it's like a high pass, low pass filter. So if you turn it left, it's doing low pass. And if you turn it right, it's doing high pass. So what I noticed though, is that you can just kind of nudge it to the high pass side, like just a little bit. So right now it's at like 9, right? And if you crank up the resonance, it gives it like a nice fat bass boost. So this is just 9% no resonance, but if I turn it up, it's like booming, which is not behavior you would expect by using the high pass side of the filter. So yeah, the only problem though is that you can't really control the high end when you do this, so you can't trim off some of those, like, I don't know, there's a little artifacts or whatever, but we can live with those. And then let me adjust the envelope as well. So I'll bring the endpoint back. And I could change the release too. Nice. Okay, so that sounds pretty chill. All right, let's get this recorded in here. Sequence, enable it, and then we'll do 32. And of course, turn quantize off. And then let me just make sure I have the right sample selected here. So keys. Yeah, by default, it's continuing to select this one in like the bottom left, but I need it to pick the kick, which is this one. And so now when I record and play it, it'll put the notes in the sequence. And of course, the P6 keys are not velocity sensitive, so we're just getting a fixed velocity here. But like any good, velocity adjusting producer would do, we can select some of these notes and make them quieter. Like the ones where it's like the double kick, you want the one that comes before it to be a lower velocity. So I can select the notes. You see the purple one highlighted. Press info. No, that's not how you do it. I think I can press the event button. Boom. Okay. And then velocity's in the bottom left corner. So this is where the workflow on it's like, I don't know, you kind of got to know your way around it to like get mileage out of this thing. But yeah, so now that I've got the notes selected, I can adjust the velocity with this knob. So I can bring it down to like, 75 or something. Maybe 60. Not bad, pretty simple. Crank it up too. right, let's get a hi-hat in here. I don't like that one. Dang. Yeah, I might not even have to resample it because I like how it sounds. But we're going to resample it anyways because why not? We got it all plugged in. Dang, I gotta check the chat here. Yeah, Ruffian Kick was saying, I have the P6, such a dope sampler, especially with the 404 Mark II or the MPC-1. Yeah, man. It's kind of like a 404 Mark II Mini. It's like a smaller version of it. It doesn't have all the features of it, but it's got some of the effects that we all know and love. And then, yeah, Strolife was talking about the knob. This thing's nasty, that's for sure. And then, yeah, Hyde F84 saying, how are you, man? I'm chilling, man. Thanks for asking. Do you think you're going to get the 1010 Bento? I don't think I'm going to get the 1010 Bento, to be honest with you. But I'm going to keep an eye on it for sure and see what other people are doing with it, which can help me make a decision about it. But I don't know, if it's anything like this, I feel like it's going to have its own little quirks and things that takes 1010 a long time to fix. Yeah, they've done a lot with this through the firmware revisions or reversions. No, it is revision. Yeah, the firmware revisions. So this is like firmware 3.0 where they added a ton of features. Like originally it couldn't even do unquantized. Like it was always just locked to the grid, and they ended up adding that in like, I don't know, firmware 2.0 or something. I can't really remember. But yeah, so I'm kind of hesitant to like jump right into something like the Bento right at release. Cause you know how gear is these days. I feel like people are like adding features like with the Ableton Move, like some of the stuff like wasn't super optimized and then they kind of improved it through the firmware. So I'll probably do the same thing with the Bento. I'll keep an eye on it, see what people are doing with it, and then once it's at a state where it's like, you know, people are rocking with it, I might check it out. But that's kind of my my take on it right now. And then yeah, appreciate that, Strolife. Yeah, I gotta redo the melody too though. I'm gonna come back to it and see what's what. And then Josh Taylor saying, just got the Roland SP404. Dude, heck yeah, man. It's a great place to start. You got all those cool effects and super easy to sample. Dude, the 404 is crazy too. You could use it as like an audio interface. So even if your DAW list, if you need to use the DAW for whatever reason, plug that thing via USB and you've got like great connection from your analog gear to your, yeah, the DAW and digital stuff. And then Tafoni writes in and says, hey Jay, lack of coverage on the Bento sequence gives me pause for sure. Yeah, man, I think that's a great way to approach it. It's like, yeah, just kind of keep an eye on things. No need to let the gas control what you're doing. Plus I've got all this gear I barely even use anyways, so trying to make the most of what I have is basically the mission here. Okay, so hi-hat. I need to resample this thing. Let me take a look here. We got to do the usual song and dance, out 3. And then MIDI channel 9, because I'm feeling fine. And then let me make sure this thing's not on 9. Turn it off. Okay, so what's going to happen now is I press the buttons here, and we're going to hear it on the P6. Bro, that is so lo-fi, and I love it. And I freaking love it. You know, this one I might just want to record onto the P6 because I love the pitch shift on the P6. It just creates like a super gritty lo-fi sound. Maybe I'll do that. Or, you know, I could just play it at a lower pitch. And let's hear it in context with the rest of the song. All right, I kind of like that pitch, but yeah, I need to adjust some of these parameters on the FX. I guess I'll do, I mean, I've been doing isolator this whole time, but it just sounds so good. Isolator is good too to like clean up the sample a little bit if you have some stuff in like the low end that you're trying to get rid of, which is not the case here. All right, that sounds pretty chill, so we're gonna record it. Oh yeah, and then I gotta mute everything. Record. There we go. And then, as is tradition, we're gonna do our before and after here. See what the difference is like. So this is the original. And then this is the resampled. So it's a lot warmer. It's lower pitch too, so that makes a difference. All right, clear it, cut, paste. And then, yeah, let's record something in. I gotta change it to channel 9 so I can play it with the keyboard. And then we'll add it. And you can see the way that I approach the workflow on this thing is I have like, yeah, different sequences for different instruments, basically. So the sample chops are in the bottom left. This is the snare. Oh, whoops. This is the kick. And then I'm going to put the hi-hat right here. Now you could record everything to one sequence, but the problem with that is that it gets a little bit harder to do like kind of mute outs and that sort of thing. Basically having them on separate channels gives me a little bit more control. It makes it easier to like know when I want to edit something. Like if I hear if like a hi-hat's off or a kick or something, I can just go to that sequence instead of needing to like manage something that's got like a ton of different notes on it and stuff. So that's kind of the approach here. All right, so yeah, 32 steps. And then we'll do step mode off. So we get this unquantized. And this is where I really wish we had some velocity sensitive keys. That would be nice. But yeah, let's go ahead and try and record something in here. I'm recording it, what the heck? I always forget the order of operations here. You have to select the pad. I think this will do it. Yeah, there we go. All right, so now you all are going to see this. This is the tough part. So if you want to edit the notes on the black box, you have to like use the touch screen to remove them. You can use the knobs to do some of the editing, like nudging stuff around. But yeah, when it comes to deleting notes, you have to use your big fat fingers. And this is like kind of tricky. Oh wow, wasn't even that bad. I don't know, sometimes I gotta like fight with the touchscreen to get these freaking notes deleted. Like you'll push it to delete it and it'll put a note somewhere else. It's like, bro, it's not what I'm trying to do. But yeah, that was actually pretty painless. Okay, so let me try and record this in here. Not so bad. Yeah, let me take a look at the chat here. Pamilo is saying, can the black box buttons be used as pads for playing? Not these buttons, but you can play things just on the screen basically. So these are my drum sounds. So that's kind of the extent to which you can use the black box to play. Well, there is a keyboard too, which you can do to play things chromatically. And then earlier I was showing this other mode where basically you've got like this grid. And that allows you to play slices. So yeah, you've got a couple options for playing just on the black box if that's what you're trying to do. And then Space Yuzu says, have you tried using a stylus? I use one on the MPC Touch sometimes. I have not tried using a stylus. That's a good idea. I need to invest in that. I need to go to the stylus store and see what they got for me. Or you could probably get it on Amazon for cheap. And then Strolife is saying, can you zoom in on the piano roll like when you're editing the samples? I don't know. No, you can't zoom in on the piano roll. Can't zoom in on the grid either. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, you can zoom in. Okay, so you're asking about this, if I can zoom in here. Yeah, you totally can. Look at that. Nice and detailed. And yeah, this is actually the pro tip. So Life is on the right track here. If you want to delete something, your best bet is probably just to zoom way the hell in and then just push it so that it goes away. And you're not, trying to use this like less precise stuff. So yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, and the slices option is pretty sick too. So I'm glad you asked about it, Pamela. All right, so, and then what you noticed here, or what you may have noticed, is that I recorded some of these at a lower pitch. And the reason why I did that is because I wanted it to be easy for me to see them, because I want to decrease the velocity of these ones. So I've got them kind of like lower here, so it's easy to know which ones to make quieter. So I'm going to make these ones like, I don't know, 80 or something. Just kind of like turn the knob here. Probably could have just done this on the same pitch, but yeah, let's see. Nice. Probably turn it down a little bit too. And another way you can record notes to the sequence, I've been using this controller to do it, but yeah, you can play the pads as well, and it'll record it in. So you just need to make sure you have the correct sequence selected. So I've got this one, which is the kick one. So I press play, and then if I press record, it's listening for the MIDI notes. Maybe it didn't record. Oh, I know why. Ugh, it's so annoying. Yeah, so I know why it didn't record. Basically, right now it's in keys mode, so it's listening to notes on the keyboard for this pad, and I played it through the pad, which is not the keyboard mode. It's like a key group on the MPC, basically. So yeah, instead of recording it from here, I'll need to record it using these keyboards, or the keyboard keys. So let's try that one more time. Kind of screwed that up. Nice. All right, so let's try and play something different with the sample chops. So now that I got the kit assembled, I can probably vibe out on it a little bit differently. Oh yeah, and then I want to control it with the keyboard. So I need to change the MIDI in to, there's definitely a better way to do this, so I will figure it out and share the knowledge for sure. All right, so MIDI in, channel 9. Bro, I forgot to turn off quantize mode, so now it's all snapped to the grid. Although maybe it'll unsnap it. No. Okay. We're going to clear it and try that again. All right, so that sounds kind of interesting. Let me just save this preset here, which is the project basically. So yeah, there is a way to like duplicate the sequence to extend it. So I'm gonna try doing that. So wish me well here. I haven't done this in a while. So I think if you press edit, double. Wow, look at that, so easy. And yeah, basically what this did is it cloned the sequence and added it after it. So it's twice as long now. Instead of being 32 steps, it's 64. So now I can get some different note triggers in. Although you can see it's like hella zoomed out now. So you gotta like kind of pinch in if you wanna see what you're working with here. Damn it. Look at this. I'm trying to delete these notes. I gotta get that stylus. Alright, so let's try and play something at the end here. It's different. let's try adding a bass. I'm playing the on-screen keyboard like a madman here, when I could be using my sweet P6 keys. So let's set that up. So I got to do MIDI channel. You know the drill. MIDI in, number 9. And then I got to turn whatever 9 was off, which is the sample chops. Okay, so now I can play the bass on these keys. Oh yeah, let me do one other thing too, which is, set the trigger mode to gate. So now I can hold on it or let it off early, just the release too. So I have a little bit more control when it comes to like expressive playback. It's a pretty short sample, so it's not gonna make too much of a difference. And then Strolife is saying, is the BPM of the melodic sample doesn't have to be the same BPM of your composition since you are playing the slices, right? Yeah, exactly. In fact, I have it pitched down pretty low to where the BPM could probably be much lower. Like, let's see, right now it's 88. I mean, it's still looping at 79. There's no like gaps in the playback. Yeah, so like Strolife is saying, basically when you're slicing a sample, you get a little bit more control over the BPM essentially because you can kind of move through it a little bit quicker instead of waiting for the slice to play all the way out. So yeah, slicing is a great way to kind of like, it's not true time stretching, but it does allow you to kind of, use a different BPM, kind of like what you would do if you were time stretching. Okay, so we got the bass here. Let's run it through the effects chain while we got it set up here. So I just got to change the out to out 3. Oh, bro. I just realized you can split it stereo. The out can be out L or out R. 3L, 3R. I don't know how that's going to mess around with the P6, or it might kind of screw things up. Okay, so yeah, out 3. So now we're hearing it on the P6. What MFX do I have? Isolator, sounds good to me. So you can just give it like a nice fat bass boost. What does the green knob do though? Oh God. This is the life we're living right now. Oh man, that's lo-fi as hell. That's what's up. right, so we're going to resample this boy in. I got to turn all these off. Yes. And then clear it out, cut and paste. And then I got to redo this envelope stuff, but it's fine. Or I can just adjust the release, I think. And then change this to gate mode. Set it to MIDI channel 9. And then I could hit it with a filter too. I don't know what that'll sound like. Oh, there's nothing on the sequence. All right, so we're gonna keep it simple. Let's go ahead and add this sequence here. And yeah, I gotta make sure I configure this right. Keys. This is the sample. And then, what am I forgetting here? Oh, I gotta turn quantize off. Get it off. The grid. Info, make it 32. Okay. Nice, pretty simple little bass line there, but just getting something sketched out. Dude, Guitarist 1988 writes in and says, sounds relaxing in late 90s. Dude, hell yeah, thanks for saying that. Are you going to release it on Spotify? This one, I don't think I'm going to release it on Spotify. I don't do too much releases, or I've actually never released anything on Spotify. Sometimes I put stuff on Bandcamp if I've got a project that, you know, I'm working on or whatever. But no, this one, just kind of sketching it out. Maybe if I can get it refined even further, I'll release it. But for now, just kind of having messed around, basically. let's add some more layers. Kind of like the sound of that. So let me just record that in, and nothing fancy I'll do with the resampling. Just gonna punch it in, so to speak. Okay, so what I gotta do here is, let me just move it right here. Sequence, put it right here, I guess. Or maybe I'll put it there. And then 32. So it's 2 bars, turn quantize off. Oh, whoops. Step mode off. And then I gotta make sure I'm in the right mode here. So yeah, pads, change to keys, and then this one, change it to Control D, sample right there. Trying to mess around with the filter there. Not so bad. All right, what else we got? So this drum break sounds kind of similar to the drums I'm using, so it might be good to add as a layer to kind of like, I could probably put a filter on it and sort of have it tucked away in the background and sort of sound like it's doing more than it is, and still have the one shots kind of shining. But the tempo is not right. But we were talking about this earlier. Still Life brought up a good point where even if the tempo doesn't match, you can just slice it up and kind of like ignore the tempo to a certain extent. So let me chop this break up real quick. I gotta go to slice mode here. Set some split markers down. Let me just hear it. Yeah, I could just put these markers down because we've got the transients to let us know what we're doing here. Doom. Doom. How are these sounding so far? Very nice snare roll. Nice, okay. Not sure how I ended up with 9 slices though. What's up with that? I thought it would be 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe this is the one I screwed up. And I might even double down on them just to have a little bit more control. So yeah, I'm just going to add some slice markers between these ones that we've got. Those are like the ghost notes and stuff. Okay. All right, so now I should be able to control the playback a little bit better. the heck? It's like not playing this note. Yeah, so like layering the drum break there, I don't know, it seemed like it was a lot of work, but yeah, it does give you kind of like a unique groove, and I was moving some of the snare slices to where it would kind of sound like a flam, which is when I I think that's when you like let the snare stick like hang on the drum, or maybe it's when you hit it with 2 sticks or something. But basically it kind of doubles the snare a little bit in such a way that gives it a little bit more variety. And yeah, layering drums is like, it's a pretty good tactic for just kind of giving your one shots a sort of different character and element. So definitely worth trying. And I think it worked out all right here. Okay, what else we got? Maybe an open hat? Oh wait, the drum break has an open hat. I forget what slice it is. Could bring it back a little bit here. Whoops. Something a little goofy going on with this last slice. I think I didn't start on a 0 crossing or something. Join, split. All right, let's see if we got more layers here. This is like a bass sample. This fits in somehow. I was kind of like pressing it between some of the bass notes and it sounded sort of sick. So let me paste this in here. Oh, shoot, what did I do there? Okay, there it is. Let me trim the end here. Alright, so it's got a nice pocket there in between the bass notes. And what I'll do is, since I've already got the bass sequenced here, I think I can also sequence other notes by, yeah, just playing them. Oh, nope, that definitely did not work. So yeah, if you're using the piano roll chromatic mode for the sequence, you can only control one pad with it. I just tried doing it with two and it didn't work. It only is looking at one pad. So I am going to have to record it to a different sequence, which is not a problem. I'll just put it next to it. Okay, and then I'll do keys. This one. Forgot to do a couple things here. So yeah, I need to change it to 32 steps, 2 bars, and turn quantize off. Okay, we are ready. Trying to play some other notes on it, but I think we're good with what we got. Keep shopping around. Yeah, I like those notes. Let's see if I can remember that one. It's just 3 lower. Should be easy. Okay, and then we got to do same old thing here. Sequence. Turn step mode off. And then change it so it's controlling the keys of... And I forget what pad this sample's on. This one. That seems complicated. I feel like it should be simpler, but maybe I just don't understand how it works. Okay, and then those are the ones. This might sound sick with delay. Let me see what I can do with that. Yeah, the BlackBox, it has a very limited group of effects that you can do. There's the filter, which you can adjust per pad, and then it has reverb and delay on the FX page. And then there actually is a, where is it? Oh yeah, and then there's this EQ as well. But that's pretty much it in terms of sound shaping. Yeah, filter, reverb, delay, and then the EQ. And then there's a compressor too. It's like a compressor on the full mix. But yeah, definitely not the kind of effect suite that you get on something like the Roland SP series or P6 or whatever. So that's why it's good to pair this device with something that does have a lot of effects. You can kind of resample. But yeah, let's see what delay is all about here. All right, what else we got? feeling this string. And cool thing about the BlackBox is you can do like a loop mode that allows you to kind of like turn a sample like this, which is just super short, into like more of a sustained kind of sound. So let's mess around with that. So you do POS, loop mode, and you can do forward loop mode, which will play it and then go back to the beginning and play it again. Or you can do bidirectional, which is like ping pong looping. So this sounds a little more natural, and for a string sample, it'll be probably pretty smooth. And then there's some like loop fade settings, which maybe I'll mess with in a little bit. And yeah, so basically once you enable this loop mode, if you go back to the sample page, you can see there's like two sets of like flags or whatever. So there's the purple ones, which are the start and end of the sample, and then these control, the white ones control the where the loop goes through. So it'll have a different start point than the loop start point, which is good if you have something at the beginning you want to play, but you don't want it to be a part of the loop. So yeah, and then I think I have to do one other thing here, which is change this to gate mode. So that means it'll play while I'm holding it down, and then it'll let off once I let go. Oi. And I think I can adjust this while the sequence is playing too. Probably gotta hit it with the filter too though. Alright, so let me make it so I can control it with my handy dandy P6 keyboard. MIDI in, channel 9. Okay, and then the break is also being controlled by 9, so I gotta turn that off. Nice, and the reason why I want to do that is because instead of having to hold the play button, now I can just use my left hand, and I can adjust the parameters here. So I want to adjust the filter. Trying to find some good notes here. so something like that, I guess. Let's see. In this one, I think I want it to be pretty long, like probably 64 steps, same as the sample chops. Okay, and then quantize off for sure. And then this one is, yeah, 3 right, 1 down. 3 right, 1 down, there we go. Nice. Nice. So I'm just stacking these layers up, and yeah, this is kind of how I approach making beats on this, is just continuing to add sounds. And you kind of want to, the way I do it is I try to just get too much going on, and then you can start pulling stuff back and adjusting levels and messing with the mix and stuff like that. And I might find that I remove some of these that like don't really sound that sick, but yeah, that's sort of the approach here. And what's great about a device like this, unlike the Lo-Fi 12 XT, where you might be, once you hit your 8-track limit, you're kind of like, you know, not really able to do much else. With this thing, I've still got open sample pads, I've got open sequences, so still plenty of room to keep layering stuff and adding more things. So yeah, I'm trying to think what else I want to put on here. I'm gonna try and set this to poly mode, because right now it's mono, so it's all cutting itself out. Every time I play a different note, it stops the previous one. But I'm curious what it'll sound like if I do poly 4, maybe, or 2. Let me hear how 2 sounds. Get kind of an interesting, like, it almost sounds like delay, except they're both still playing at full volume. It'll probably sound good if I have one at like a lower velocity than the other, so it kind of, so yeah, right now they're just both playing at full volume, but I can program that into the sequence. That's not a bad little layer. I want it to come in even less frequently though. So what I'm going to do is edit double. So we've got twice as long of a sequence, but then I'm just going to delete it from these two. So now it's just coming in at the end. Basically it's 64 steps now, and it's only showing up at bar 4, basically. I feel like this matches the piano I have in here, but I gotta figure out the timing of it so it doesn't like play at the same time as the piano, because it'll sound kind of weird if it does that. Wow, I'm like almost filling up every single sample slot. But I think I'm gonna stop loading up this beat for now and maybe mess around with some... Okay, so this is another layer to having the audio routing. I might have to switch it actually. But what I can do is I can run all the audio through the P6 and then use the P6 to kind of like add effects and stuff, since it'll add effects to what it's listening to on the line in. So let me try doing that. How do I do this? Oh wait, I'd have to plug it into the audio interface. Oh man, it gets complicated quickly. Let's just try that. Why not? All right, so this goes to the audio interface. The in-your-face interface, that's the main out, and then line in will be headphones, I guess. All right, let's see what it sounds like. It's like so lo-fi, it's crazy. That's that mod for you though, P6 mod. Yo, get the vinyl sim on there? Ooh. The compressor. Kaboom. So yeah, hopefully that gives you some insight into sequencing on the 1010 BlackBox. Yeah, overall, I would say it's not really a great experience. Yeah, the sequence is like kind of arcane and a little bit confusing to work with. You could tell like when I was trying to record stuff in, I had to like make sure that I was pressing the right like pad that I had on keys mode, and I don't know, man. It's very compact, which is good, but at the same time, it's like it's a lot to work with, and there's a bunch of settings you have to enable and stuff. So I don't know, might not be everyone's cup of tea, but I'm still continuing to explore it and trying to figure out ways I can bring it back, because I used to use it a lot, and I want to do that more since I still have it. And yeah, I think using an external sequencer with it is really the ticket. So maybe I'll do a video about that. I don't know. But yeah, I think probably a good point here to call it. I know, yeah, again, this is another one where I just made one beat instead of two, but I got kind of lost in the sauce here. But yeah, if you're interested in using this sample that I was using, this one. Well, that's not the whole thing, but you know how it goes. Let me see if I can load it up. Or no, I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, if you're interested in using that sample, it's on my Patreon. It's free. You don't have to pay for it or anything. You just do, if you do a free membership, you can download it. Every time I stream, I'm using a sample that I upload up there. So if you want to mess with those sounds too, just use the link in the description and check it out. But yeah, other than that, I think I'm going to call it at this point. So I appreciate y'all rocking out with me. Hope you have a good rest of your Saturday, good weekend. And until next time, peace.